Welcome to Been There, Watch That, episode number 22. This is Dave's pick, the 2000 film Snatch. Guy Ritchie film. We talked about him a little bit on the show. He does sort of these wonky, started out doing British. I think he's done other movies as well, not based in British culture, but this one is definitely heavily British, and they're all of his movies are kind of centered around crime and different characters and interweaving stories, and that's the big one on this one. This is BeenThereWatchThat.com. You can check out any sort of past reviews on there, and then social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just type in BTWT Pod. All right, what'd you guys think of this one?
I've seen it a couple times before.
It's probably third, fourth time I've seen it.
So I was familiar with it, but I really liked it. There's so many interesting parts to it.
This was my first go-around on this movie.
Yeah, that's how I was interested in your take on it, Joe.
Okay.
Just because I've seen it, and I knew Justin said he'd seen it, so for somebody with fresh eyes, I'm anxious to get into this. Not anxious. I'm looking forward to getting into this conversation just to see your take.
Okay.
Brad Pitt, probably the biggest name on here, but
Jason Statham.
Yeah. Go down a list of some of the other ones?
Yeah. Give us the uptake.
Okay. So you want the synopsis and the cast so far?
You betcha.
Yeah, let's
okay.
Right there.
So Turkish and his close friend / accomplice Tommy get pulled into a world of match fixing by the notorious Bricktop. Things get complicated when the boxer they had lined up gets badly beaten by Mickey, a pikey, slang for Irish gypsy, who comes into the equation after Turkish, an unlicensed boxing promoter, wants to buy a caravan off the Irish gypsies. They then try to convince Mickey not to fight them, but lose for them also. Whilst all this is going on, a huge diamond heist takes place, and a fistful of motley characters enter the story, including cousin Avi. Is it Avi or Avi?
Avi's
how I saw it. Yeah.
Okay. Boris the Blade, Frankie Four Fingers, and Bullet Tooth Tony. Things go from bad to worse as it all becomes about the money, the guns, and the dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is all criminal underworld, illegal boxing matches that the Brad Pitt's character, he's just this bare-knuckle boxing phenom, and he's kind of a loose cannon, and they want him to basically take a fall, like pretend, like throw the fight so that somebody else can win money. But
and he's a gypsy, and they all hate gypsies, and they call them pikers. And the funny part is in the picture on the front, Brad Pitt's holding the dog on a leash, and he never once has anything to do with the dog in the entire movie.
I'd never noticed. Yeah, I see that now.
But could they have gotten any more illegal activities involved? You had dog fights, unlicensed boxing, jewelry heist. I mean,
robbing the bookie.
Yeah, literally all you needed was
car wrecks,
murder.
Yeah,
literally all you needed was a bag of cocaine, and it was like,
the funny part, drugs didn't play into this. I don't think.
Surprisingly,
everything else did.
Oh yeah.
And, one of the things I was laughing at there earlier is that all the murders take place off the scene, except for the one where he shoots him in the head, I think.
You're right.
But I don't even know that you saw that. I think he just shoots and then you see him, the body.
Yeah, I was talking to Joe a little bit before. I mean, Benicio del Toro, huge name.
Gosh.
Brad Pitt, huge name. Jason Statham obviously went on to become this huge action star.
Yeah.
It seems like they're all pretty young now at this point. I mean, this is 20-some years ago.
And it's surprising as heavy-weighted as Brad Pitt's name is onto a project.
Yeah.
He doesn't play a very big role in this.
Yeah, he's kind of like a underlying secondary character. Like, it's all based around Jason Statham. But see, that's Brad Pitt, who was a big fan of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which preceded this.
Yeah.
Was directed by Guy Ritchie. Brad Pitt wanted in this movie, so they found a spot for him.
Okay.
And he was originally going to be one of the other characters, but he couldn't master the London accent. So they're like, all right, you got to go to something else. And he ended up being one of the gypsies. Mickey
Which is
the gypsy.
Almost has like an Irish twang to it, but it's totally unique too because it's a lot of stuff you can't even decipher what he's saying.
Kind of gibberish.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that tickled me throughout the whole movies is when that band of gypsies got together, they always had a little parlay among themselves about everything. They sit there and whisper, and you couldn't understand a thing they said anyway. Even if they weren't whispering, you couldn't understand what they said.
Right.
So why the conference of whispering?
Well, and it intrigued me that here we have Brad Pitt, you know, and biggest majority of Brad Pitt movies, he's always like this cool, you know, like Mr. Cool with the hair and like the ladies' man. And here he's just kind of basically a bumbling gypsy. I mean, completely different than what he's normally cast as.
And he'd just come out of Fight Club, filming Fight Club.
Right.
So he'd just come out of a role where he was a fighter, you know, and bare knuckle boxing into a bare knuckle boxing role. So interesting to see.
I mean, because Brad Pitt's known for like his role in Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Moneyball.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But yeah, here's this movie that is completely out of his
genre.
Genre and kind of the type of character he normally plays, which I found entertaining because it's something different.
Yeah, and I think it was funny that whenever he talked, not only could us as the audience not understand him, but the other characters in the movie couldn't understand him.
Yeah.
So it was relatable because it's like, yeah, nobody knows what he's just said.
Yeah, because Cena was sitting there watching it because she missed part of it, and she goes, I don't understand what he's saying. I said, nobody does. I said, that's the part. I said, they established that.
I was able.
That was the part you missed.
If I listened like really hard, I could, you know, because he's talking about this camper that he wants them to
Periwinkle Blue
for his mom. There were a couple things where I was like, I think I kind of know what he's getting at. He's talking about like things about the camper he wanted to see, like different features or something. But asked me to repeat back what it was. I'm like, I don't know, but it's something about the camper.
Yeah.
So a lot of this movie had things that related to other previous Guy Ritchie movies and stuff. You know, like the mistakes that Saul, Vincent, and Tyrone make were all based off of various late night TV shows about real life crimes that had went horribly wrong.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's a couple other, like the Lenny James, he actually hit himself in his private parts with a shotgun while he's blasting a hole in the wall at the bookies, but they continued the scene. You know, it's one of those things that really happened.
Yeah.
You know, and the dog actually bit one of the characters on the set. Not anything serious, but, you know, and they had to replace the dog. And the whole time I was like, man, the dog is, you know, really just bumbling around everywhere, biting everything, getting involved in everything, you know, and squeaks whenever he barks. And what if you ask? I was like, how they do that? Well, it makes sense. They had to trade out dogs. But yeah, nearly every death was off scene, so you didn't actually see, you know, people getting shot and stuff. But
yeah, a lot of times it'll be the person with the gun, and then like you said, right off camera is where the other person is, and it's one of those. Yeah. You shoot him, so it's obviously implied he just shot him, but don't necessarily see it.
Right.
There's a big shootout at the end there too, but same sort of thing where a window rolls down, shotgun comes out, boom, but then you don't ever see the person that got shot.
Well, and like in the car, with the car accident where he's sitting in the back seat playing with the sword, and then they just cut away and then cut back, and then you see it impaled him.
Yeah.
As far as up close and personal, though, all the bare knuckle boxing scenes, they're definitely getting in there and showing you Brad Pitt or the other guy getting punched left and right, and flying into stuff.
Yeah.
There's that one part where Brad Pitt's basically floating above the ground in slow-mo where he got uppercutted.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. So it caught my attention in the movie when they took Gorgeous George and Tommy is like, yeah, we'll fight, you know, and I'm like, you gotta be crazy. That's a horrible move when I first saw it. And then every time I see it, it just reinforces, you don't ever walk into somebody's situation like that. And, you know, they're not going to agree to fight with a big man like that unless they know something.
Timing and speed versus power.
And just a, you know, bare knuckle boxing champion of the underworld there.
Yeah, the big guy assumes he can go manhandle him, and then next thing he knows, he's unconscious.
Yeah. And the whole situation of, you know, Tommy knew that if he didn't wake up soon, they're going to be burying both of them. Yeah. You don't walk out of that.
Although I do find situations like that interesting, especially even legal, you know, organized boxing matches like those. Around here, they call them tough man contests. You know, and it's always funny where you see this guy, you know, thinks he can take care of business and go in there and get his clock cleaned within 30 seconds. I always just laugh at that. I always love us because, like, Yeah, you're not so tough, aren't you? You got in there with a guy that actually knows what he's doing, trained for this, and you just literally walking off the street going, "Yeah, I can whoop everybody in here," and you just got your butt handed to you.
Yeah. So, Joe, what was any poignant scenes that stood out to you as a first time watcher?
The one that really stood out to me was the car accident towards the end there.
The whole scenario of like 3 different things happening at once.
Yeah, but how they played it out.
Yeah.
It's like they first show you like just clips of the end result, and then they go back and go, yeah, here's how it all started.
Yep.
This chain reaction, and they showed you the whole chain reaction. I found that interesting.
Yeah, he throws out milk and causes.
Yeah. But I gotta say, this one, I love movies that switch back and forth a lot.
Yep.
This one was a little too much for me as far as switching.
It
back
had
and
a
forth.
lot.
Yeah.
A lot of stories built into one movie.
So there was times that I was lost, and then had to find my way out. But most of the time, like I said, I love movies because those are movies that keep my attention.
Yeah.
But this one, for some reason, there was a lot of switching back and forth to the point that I found myself lost at times.
Yeah.
And when we get later on in the show,
yeah. I almost think that was purposeful though for this movie because I guess you haven't seen Lock, Stock, and Two Barrels.
No.
It's very similar.
So this is kind of
it's Guy Ritchie's
forte.
calling card is making these movies that jump all over the place and keep you guessing and
right.
wrap 10 stories into one.
Which honestly, I love a good movie that'll do that.
Yeah.
Because that keeps me entertained. But this one was just a little heavy-handed on the random switches.
Yeah.
Cousin Avi, like he's like based in New York, but when basically this diamond gets taken, he needs to come over to the UK. And I like the little cut scenes they do where they basically show like 5 or 6 different quick little things. Basically him getting on an airplane, taking a shot. Then there's like a taxi light on top just blinking. Basically it's shown in like 5 seconds his whole like, okay, now he just went from New York to the UK. I kind of like those quick little edits they did.
Yeah. They showed you the trip without showing you the trip.
Just like boom, 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 and then he's there. Like
you understood that he just got on the plane and made it to the hotel. You didn't have to go through the whole scene and watch him sit there in the airplane and then hail a cab and all that. It was like boom, boom, on to the next.
Yep. There are a couple of different ones like that. Where they could tell a lot about the story in literally like 5 seconds, just move from one part and fill you in on some stuff real quick.
Yeah, there's some movies I wish would do. There's other movies I wish they would do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it shows that you can tell a big chunk of the story within a few seconds just by hitting the high spots.
I thought the main bad guy, Bricktop, played by Alan Ford, he's did a real good job of coming off as a really sinister guy. He has these big glasses, thick rimmed glasses, and he's walking them around, showing them his pig farm, basically just to let them know that, and then talking about how that's the best way to get rid of a body.
Yeah.
Starve pigs for a couple weeks.
And he had notoriously bad teeth. Holy cow.
Yeah.
His voice and his whole like demeanor is like, yeah, this guy's like psycho. He would probably chop you up into pieces.
And then when he was telling you exactly, had the math down to how long it takes for a pig to consume a body, you're going, how do you acquire this information? Because this isn't something you can just Google
just
any
in
day.
general knowledge. Yeah. You know, Sean Connery almost was picked for the role of Bricktop, but I think he wouldn't have been
I like
scurvy looking enough, so to speak.
Boris the Blade, he's the crazy Russian the whole time. He's just totally unafraid of anything. There's that whole scene, like you said, Dave, where you don't see somebody getting shot, but the guy has to shoot him like 7 times at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I really enjoyed the scene where, he pops out of the trunk and he's walking around trying to figure out where he's going. And then he comes back mad and, Tommy wants to replace his firearm that didn't work and he's grabs him by the crotch and is like, but as he walks there, he's like, ha ha, the man on a mission. He's going to go mess somebody up.
Yeah.
But,
A lot of British slang in here. I mean, the whole thing is, everyone has you really got to be paying attention or you'll totally miss something because of the way they phrase things.
Right. Yeah, so between that and the switching, this is one of those you have to pay attention to. It's not one that you can just kind of leisurely watch along. You have to stay focused on this one.
What do you think of the sort of dark comedy element to it, Joe? Did you get a chuckle at any of the stuff, or were you kind of like wish it was a more serious type of crime film? Because there's definitely some silliness going on here and there.
Yeah, there's some silliness.
Yeah, the dog ate the diamond and then jumped out the window, and they're chasing him around.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of stuff I had no issues about.
Yeah.
It's one of those I'm always up for a good chuckle. So if you can find a place to put a good chuckle in, that by all means jump in and let's see what happens. But but I felt like they was able to do it and you actually be entertained. You wasn't rolling your eyes going, really?
Yeah.
This is one of the laughing points. They was actually able to weave it in and actually keep you going along with the story.
Well, like Tyrone was supposed to be the getaway driver, but he was just so incompetent at driving, like he couldn't even parallel park. That was part of the story.
I like how of course I can.
He rammed into that van, which had Benicio del Toro in it, knocked him out, and then, had this effect just because he couldn't parallel park without running into a car.
Yeah, when I saw that, it reminded me of the scene. Dave, I know you've seen The Office. Justin, have you watched the show The Office?
Yep.
Okay, do you remember the scene where Michael Scott pulls up in like a PT Cruiser?
Yeah.
And he backs all the way and backs into this car and goes, no, can't make it. And it's just like that. You can park 4 cars in the spot.
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
It's fun. Do you have any numbers on the movie, Joe? Because it says one of the facts was the producers couldn't afford a full scene of
extras,
so they moved them around during the boxing scenes.
Yes.
How is that possible? How much do you have to pay people to stand in a crowd that they couldn't afford a full gym? I mean, they're only like 8 or 9 rows deep.
The budget was only $10 million.
Only? Jeez.
So, I mean,
I guess. That just seems crazy to me. You couldn't afford extras in a boxing scene that you can't really make anybody out.
Okay, yeah, but this was 2001, so $10 million was
20 years ago, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a low budget considering how much was
there's a lot of big actors in there, yeah.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, because I think it was, $30 million?
Yeah.
And look at all they did. So this is kind of a low budget film when you look at it. I mean, $10 million, we're sitting here talking like, $10 million, just low budget. And like, in that scheme of things, it's kind of low budget. But if you really think about it, there wasn't a lot of special effects and all that. So it's completely plausible to see that they was able to keep such a low budget.
Yeah, especially with all the 8 or 6, well, say 6 big names.
Yeah. Brad Pitt, being one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jason Statham, who was turned out to be a action hero type actor, is actually the opposite role in this.
Yeah, he's not the tough guy or anything.
Yeah, he's just kind of like
he's just
a promoter that doesn't fight or anything.
Hoping somebody doesn't off him.
Yeah. I do like. I think he did a really good job narrating it.
Just about to say the same thing.
And his insightful.
It's the voice of the narrator.
Yeah, his voice and the insightful way they had him narrate sporadically throughout, I thought was very good.
Because he's able to just totally give you some background on the character.
Yeah.
Like they'll be showing just some stuff that the character's doing. He fills you in. Oh, here's his history. Here's his criminal history. All that stuff.
Well, and I especially liked it like when Tommy was at the, they knocked out Gorgeous George at the gypsy camp, and Tommy's standing there and he's saying, and of course Tommy knows if Gorgeous George doesn't wake up in the next 2 minutes, they're going to be burying 2 bodies out back because it's nobody wants to explain one, much less 2. And I was just like, the timing and how he voiced in was perfect.
Yeah, if he's not. He basically says, pooping his pants right now, he should be, or something.
Yeah.
And not in those words exactly, but.
Paraphrase.
Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. I float back and forth on which aspect I like best. I like the cleverness of the gypsies. And, even to the simple ones, like when he's like, all right, you just give me my money back. You keep your caravan. What do I want that caravan for? It doesn't have wheels on it. Yeah.
Sold him the caravan that the wheels fall off like 100 yards after they drive off.
And so they're scheming gypsies, and that's why everybody hates them. But you kind of pull for them because they, he gets dumped on. And
well, he points out at one time they have the advantage that they can pick up and go somewhere else and hide at any point. He's like, it's not like they have social security numbers, do they? So they can, if things get really messy, they have that option. The gypsies can just kind of run off somewhere else.
Yeah, and they just pack up their stuff and move camp.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. So Vinnie Jones, who is Bullet 2 Tony, got in a fight in town and was in jail, and they had to use a look-alike character in one of his scenes.
Really?
Yeah, so he brought that tough guy image into his personal life as well.
He forgot to leave the role at work.
So, because of their tight budget, Ritchie had to stick to a tight schedule, and he introduced a fine system. Interruption, mistake by the crew, phone ringing, being late, complaining. Guy charged fines, which made everyone much more careful and efficient. And because of the modest budget, some of the scenes demanded a lot of creativity. Like the boxing scene, they didn't have enough extras, so they just have them shift from one shot to the next. But those are things I never noticed. Like I wouldn't have guessed this was a low budget film. Just because everything seemed pretty seamless.
Yeah.
The scenes were really good. I didn't notice any overlap of characters.
Well, but apparently there was with the extras. And they must have done it really well or never paid any attention, because there's times if they reuse the same cast and scenes, like you can just pick it up automatically just by looking at the background. So that they did a very, very good job of mixing it up where you really can't tell.
Yeah.
I read a review where someone said, of the Tarantino imitators, Guy Ritchie is one of the best. What do you think? I didn't really get a whole lot of Tarantino vibe.
I did.
I did.
Really?
What's the Travolta movie? Pulp Fiction?
Pulp Fiction.
I thought it was a lot like Pulp Fiction. Kind of jumped around the same way. Wrapped in several different stories.
I kind of compared it to Ocean's 11.
Yeah. Yeah, not as slow as Ocean's 11.
No.
But a different type of movie, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, same thing. Kind of jumps around. There's always that little hidden part. I agree with you on that one, Joe. That's a good call because, like in Ocean's 11, there's always like the little double cross at the end.
Right.
Snatch had the same thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting. All right. Well, Justin, after seeing it, you said you saw it a couple of times. Is there anything that you saw differently on this watch? Or anything that stood out to you?
No, I think just getting a refresher on what it was all about. I mean, I remember the boxing scenes, but how it was all tied to the diamonds and all that. I feel like I understood the whole story better this time. Same thing stuck out as last time. I mean, Brad Pitt's character is very memorable. Definitely. He's like the whole, you like Dags, and he doesn't know what he's saying. Oh, dogs, yeah.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Brad Pitt fan, but I gotta say he was very entertaining in this role. Because like I said, it's very different than what he typically plays.
Yeah.
So I was very entertained.
Yeah, watching this version, I thought about what stood out to me was when, Justin, you noticed it because you'd said he was in the boxing match and he got the big uppercut where his whole body, is in the air and he's somersaulting backwards, and he lands in water. The mental aspect of he just landed in water where everything goes dark, and I thought that is a great representation of that. You get knocked out or almost knocked out in your consciousness, and it's kind of, think about being underwater where you can't hear anything, because first you're boxing in a crowd with everybody yelling, lots of noise, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's kind of like falling asleep. You just hear static. And then he comes back out of just, whoop, that sound, and I was like, man, they did a really good job in that part of making that seem plausible and kind of how that might happen.
Right.
Now, I've never been in a boxing match like that and gotten knocked out, of course, and then come back out of it to save the day with one punch. But, to me, it was very plausible, and kind of the sound effects were top-notch, and how they cut the film together was top-notch.
Right.
So that kind of stood out to me this round of me watching the movie. But
yeah, I totally forgot about that little sequence.
Yeah, I just thought it was neat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Funny stuff. I don't. Overall, when watching it again this time, I would almost say it held my interest a little better because I knew where it was going. So Joe, I didn't have the turmoil of you trying to figure out the story,
right?
And it let me watch more of the movie for little details,
right?
Just because I didn't have to try to focus and pay attention. Wait a minute, where's this going? What are we talking about now, and what's this referencing back to? I knew that already, so I could focus more on the details. And again, just knowing that we were reviewing the movie made me do that.
Right.
But I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So I got to watch a lot more of their facial expressions and stuff like that. And it's funny just because, a lot of the Londoners, Tommy makes his faces like when he goes to fire the gun out the window. He's got his mouth open, tongue hanging outside his mouth. He's squinting his eyes because he's waiting for the big loud bang, and it doesn't come. And he's like, what happened? But then I was thinking, who in the heck? He sits there and says, I'm going to try this pistol out. Let me just aim it out the window of the car as we're driving down the road. But anyway, all right.
Yeah, all of us growing up around guns, that's basically like the first thing. You just don't just aim it
out the window.
And just point and shoot.
I've been down that road before when I didn't know exactly what was going to happen with a gun and have shot it to see and kind of been like, I'm going to look away. And
right, but you had an intended target and all that. It wasn't just.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't just pick it up and just start pulling the trigger.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So, going down that road, is there anything that you felt was done poorly?
I mentioned that scene where Tyrone totally backs into a vehicle because he's the getaway driver that doesn't know how to drive, and I don't know. I thought that little group of criminals was at times so bumbling that it was kind of annoying. Like he gets stuck and she hits the security door and it sticks him in there, and then they get stuck inside, and then he opens the door from the outside. All that stuff. I didn't love some of the little comedy they were trying to do by making them so bumbling. I
really liked the lady in there who was just bored with the whole thing. She's like, really?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Then boom.
Sometimes I wouldn't take it out, but the dog just biting people all the time. It got a little old too. I don't know. Some little things with that where he swallowed the chew toy and then he's squeaking throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like a comment at the end, half of an eaten shoe, squeaky toy, and an
80-carat diamond.
80-carat diamond. And I liked when he Avi shot Bullet Tooth Tony. He's trying to shoot the dog. I really thought he did a good job when he was shooting in there, where he had his head turned, his eyes closed, and the gun kind of dangling from his hand, just pow, pow, pow. He's randomly shooting around. I was like, jeez.
But I do like how at the end they tied it all back together with the dog.
Yeah.
They're at the gypsy camp, and you think the cops are on them there. How are they going to get out of this one? And all of a sudden, this dog just shows up out of nowhere, and it's like, oh yeah, we're just walking the dog.
Yeah. I like it too when they're doing the hare and the two dogs, the rabbit. And he's like, yeah, maybe we'll trade some of those fancy shoes. Yeah. And they got trash bags tied over their nice shoes and on the field. And I'm like, oh, boy. Because, he says that, and then it pans down to the shoes. And you're like, what the heck is he talking about his shoes? Yeah. And they got trash bags after. I'm like, you knuckleheads.
Yeah, the dog's chasing the rabbit scene. That kind of weird, trippy sort of song that they had playing throughout that whole thing.
Yes.
There's some use of music throughout the film. Like sometimes there'll just be a scene of one of the criminals walking down the road, and it's kind of this I don't know, it almost sounds like, I don't know what it reminded me of, but just kind of some horns playing, and kind of, I think it reminded me a little bit of Ocean's 11 type of vibe.
Yeah, kind of playful.
They're just walking through a casino with music playing.
Yeah,
just kind of catches you out of nowhere. They're playing music where you're not expecting music.
Yeah, and especially playful music for such a somber type film.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because there's a lot of death and a lot of crime, and.
But you guys know this thing is classified as a comedy and a crime movie, right?
Is it really?
Yeah, on IMDb. I looked up and was like,
comedy
wait a minute, there's no possible way, but on IMDb it's classified as a comedy/crime movie. And I was like, I think comedy might be a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I agree, because it's pretty violent and pretty crime
driven. For it's more of an action and crime movie.
I mean, it dropped the F word 140 times.
Yeah. You know, my thoughts were, okay, crime movie definitely, action movie definitely, maybe more of an action movie with a little comedy sprinkled in, but, you know, when I'm thinking like a comedy, I'm going,
Yeah.
you know, Tommy Boy, Animal House, the
yeah,
classics.
Right.
Yeah. This one, a little stretch for a comedy for me.
Interesting. Huh.
Can I read a couple reviews to you guys, see if anything resonates with you?
Absolutely.
One person said, show-off filmmaking that blatantly ignores the need of story and character in favor of whatever happens to look cool.
I would wholeheartedly disagree
Right.
with that because, man, did they ever wrap up so many stories in one video?
Right, yeah, that's a little weird.
That was kind of...
Ignores story. That seems a little weird. Okay, here's another one. Fantastic, cheeky fun. Another one, a fast-paced, funny film.
Okay, now I would agree with that one.
Right, I thought you might like that one. Here's the movie is not boring, but it doesn't build and it doesn't arrive anywhere.
Oh, jeez.
And,
Covers a whole circle of...
Yeah. Last one, simply put, Snatch stinks.
Wow. I don't understand that at all. I think this one would have a hard time getting a bad review.
Yeah,
That's
Like, I could
funny.
see it not being like an overflowing mop bucket to everybody,
right.
but I definitely don't think it's like a stinker.
Yeah, I mean...
Hold on, what was Rotten Tomatoes and all that stuff? Did we go over that?
Not yet. Okay, so I am on IMDb. It's 8.3 out of 10. Let me pull up Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that seems about right.
You know, even from my standpoint, like I said, this is the first time viewing it, and I struggled to follow along, but I wouldn't give it a burnt popcorn. I mean, I would by no means,
Right.
You know, give it an absolute stinker. Okay, here we go. Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's not near as bad as
Rotten
they make
Tomatoes,
it out to be.
the critics, they gave it a lower rating than the audience. Audience liked it, which is a lot of times the case.
So Rotten Tomatoes, it's 73% tomato meter and 93% audience score.
Wow. Wow, 93.
Yeah, that's based off over 250,000 ratings.
I didn't think it'd be that high.
Wonder how much of a maybe cult classic is this? Do you think
I
a lot of
definitely-
people out there don't know about this movie?
It was. I remember, 10, 15 years ago, it was a big deal. Snatch was like the pre-Ocean's 11, Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those movies that was like, yes, this is, the makings of a cult classic, but it's cool that it was mainstream.
Do you like this one more than Lock, Stock? You said, I think you did say.
Yeah,
that, right?
it's better than Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Very
more
similar,
polished.
different story, but a very similar look,
Yeah.
and more polished for sure.
I think I might be. I don't know. I might be partial to his first one, Lock, Stock, but I haven't seen it in forever, so I don't know.
Huh.
Some people, were a little critical that, Snatch being his second one, he basically took a similar type of vibe and story from his first movie, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, and just kind of did a more polished version of it. Some people would say.
Yeah. I mean, they're both crime comedies. They both had Bullet 2 Tony in them.
Like you comment, not showing someone actually getting shot. I wonder if that's in order to kind of preserve some of the comedy aspect to it, not make it too violent. Maybe violent without it. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good point.
Still violent, obviously, super violent, but
yeah, you might have hit the nail right there on the head, Justin, where
he's trying to have that balance. Maybe.
Yeah, like, okay, yeah, we're gonna make a gory movie, but we don't have to make it as gory. You can let your mind fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm. Definitely moves along quickly and doesn't drag along.
Oh no, there's no.
Once it starts getting towards the end, it wraps up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I liked. I appreciated that.
Yeah, there was absolutely no parts of the movie I was sitting there going, oh, gee whiz, I wish this would speed it up a little bit.
Featured on IMDb's top 250 films.
Wow.
Cracked the 250 list. Roger Ebert wasn't a huge fan. 2 out of 4 stars.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe a bit of
this makes me want to watch Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels now.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I watched it. But
Yeah.
I'd also sit down and watch Ocean's 11 too.
Right.
Just because I'm kind of like, all right.
I remember both of those having like some genuine surprises at the end with the way some clever story writing and how it all interweaved together.
Yeah, and like Ocean's 11, I loved all three movies, Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. I absolutely loved all three of those.
Yeah, the cleverness, I think this is the beginning of the cleverness movies.
Yes.
Which, I mean, there's always movies that have been clever, but
right.
Kind of like the crime comedy, the big ones, you know.
Because when I was watching it, I felt like it was really very parallel with Ocean's 11, but I also kind of thought it had a little of Now You See Me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kind of that vibe. Not so much, but just a little bit. It was like, okay, yeah, Now You See Me could be that.
Was that who was in that one?
Garofalo.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of
Catch Me If You Can.
I'm thinking of Catch Me If You Can.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Woody Harrelson was in...
yeah, Woody Harrelson and the social...
the Social Network guy.
Social Network guy.
Yeah, because he was in Zombieland also.
Yep.
He's got,
Mark Garofalo was the main guy.
That's going to drive me nuts. Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Whose pick was this? Mine?
Yours.
Yep.
Sweet. We'll roll out the mop buckets.
Yep. Get the mop buckets ready.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Feel free to drop all the accolades on me you want. I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, so Justin, do you want to go ahead and give Dave a shot of reality here?
You can go. I'm still thinking it over.
Okay. So on this movie, like I said, it was fast-paced. It did a lot of switching back and forth, which normally I love for my short attention span.
It did have explosions and gunshots for you.
Yes, but the switching around was a little bit too much for me on this one. So when I first started, when they first got the diamond, I was all in. It was going to be a large all the way. But then as the story went along, it knocked it down to an overflowing medium for me.
Yeah, that seems fair. I think the first time you see it, it's really hard because of the language, like trying to understand what the gypsies are saying.
Well, even that, I just took that as the comedy part of it.
Yeah, I just
wrote that off as comedy and didn't ding that too bad.
Yeah.
It's just the so often they switch it back and forth.
Yeah.
That's where I struggled.
Well, that's one of the things I didn't like about the first time I watched it was not being able to understand the gypsies.
Okay.
I held that against the movie, and then I watched it again and realized that it just wasn't important.
Right.
But, it's so weird to go into a movie and not be able to understand what the characters are saying.
Right.
That it hit me. And then, after, again, watching it this time, which is probably the fourth time I watched it, I just relaxed and let them talk and didn't even try to understand. And I kind of felt like you were saying, Justin, where I kind of I knew what they were talking about because I'd seen it before. And I didn't have to strain and try to listen, so it made it easier to watch,
right.
which is interesting. But, yeah, I agree with you, Joe. The scenes flipping back and forth, by the end of it, you're like, all right, just what is the plot here? What's the deal going to be?
Right.
Okay. Well, Justin, you want to go or you want to go?
You can't understand the gypsies, but then some of the other characters in the movie will kind of fill you in because they have to go back to their guys and here's what they were saying, I think.
Yeah. I like the whole, at the very end of it, they're like, Periwinkle Blue.
Yeah. Yeah, he was, Brad Pitt's character and his buddies, I think there's one scene where he was literally talking nonsense because he asked him, like, is that all clear? Does that make sense? And he said, yeah, and then they all started laughing because I think he was, like, messing with them.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. that they kind of... They kind of made their deal out of messing with people, and for their own purposes, gypsies, in the role they played there, the less somebody understood them, the better it was for them because they had people confused.
Right.
And when you're dealing with them making a deal, or making a bet, the more unsure you can make someone, the better it is for you.
Right.
All right. Well, Justin, you want to go or you want me to go?
You can go ahead.
All right. I'm going to agree with Joe here and say overflowing medium/large, just because I feel like this isn't everybody's cup of tea movie. Now, I really enjoyed it. Would I recommend it to someone else? Only if I thought, they would be a fan of this type of movie.
Right.
If it was somebody older that wouldn't understand the gypsy part at all, I'd be like, nah, don't waste your time watching it because you won't understand it. And because it flips back and forth so fast, if it was somebody older, again, that didn't have patience for just watching what I would say is a good movie,
right,
I would say it'd be hard for them.
Right.
So I'm going to say overflowing medium for how I'd recommend it to someone else. For myself, I'm going large.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed the comedy of it. I enjoyed the European spin on it. The British spin. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, this is an interesting little exercise in... I know my impression of it was different when it came out, and I probably saw it in 2003 or 4 or something like that in high school at some time, and seeing it now, and I know back then I probably would be flirting with Mop Bucket. I really enjoyed it back then, and I think part of that was I was just kind of along for the ride, and I wasn't maybe looking at it as analytically as we do now with the show and everything.
Right.
Now I'm like really kind of picking apart and seeing some things that I didn't love as much as I liked back then. But I think back then it was just so new and different. I'd never seen a movie quite so intense and the weird blend of this crime movie with some humor and the intertwining stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to go back at some point, just even on my own time, and watch his first movie, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, just because I think if my gut is right, I think maybe I would favor that one a little bit over this.
Really?
I'm thinking I might be...
I've only seen that once, and I don't remember liking it that much.
I think maybe it had a little less cheekiness, to use a British term. Like the first one...
Really?
Maybe... Not that it was necessarily more serious, but it wasn't trying to get as many laughs, I think, which was kind of what brought it down a little bit, this one for me.
Huh.
So I'm thinking, which I'll have to test this out, but I'm thinking that one would probably be a large and this one a medium for me.
Well, what we could do is the same thing we did with Mad Max, and I'm not saying it's my pick. I'm saying this is totally on Justin. We could watch Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels just to kind of have that comparison. But again, same as Mad Max, not my pick.
Well, at one point I brought up The Gentleman. It looks like it's still not available. We'd have to buy it, $12, $13.
Okay, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, it's not available.
Well, fine.
Without having to pay for it.
Fine.
I think keep our eye on The Gentleman, see his Guy Ritchie in 2019. Would be something interesting too. But
I'm kind of with you though. If I could find Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, I'd watch it now. Just because.
Well, you can buy it for like $3.99 rental. I mean, so it's out there, but you have
got to pay for it.
Right.
I think
Joe, get out your pocketbook and let's do this deal.
Now wait a minute.
It's absolutely overflowing for me though. It's just right there on the cusp. But I think.
Hold on, which overflowing again? Medium.
Snatch is overflowing medium. Yeah.
So all of us were overflowing medium.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going large for myself personally.
It wouldn't. Yeah, I could be convinced to go large, but I'm right there.
Yeah, I'm large.
Right there on the.
Yeah, because I'm with Justin. It's like it's just so close that if there was just a couple minor things that would, although
what rolls it up for me is the $10 million budget. They did all this on $10 million.
Yeah,
I thought it was
what's crazy.
Yeah, it's really well done for $10 million.
And with me, it's one of those, if they didn't switch as much, I would have been able to follow the story better. But on the flip side of that coin, I think if they would have taken a few of the switches out, it may have taken away a major chunk of the movie, major point of the movie.
I think a lot of the actors throughout, definitely did a good job of being. Everyone had these big characters, the crazy Russian, and then you got the Jewish diamond dealers and the gypsies, all these different aspects of the British criminal world.
Right.
Yeah, I did like that. See that, and that's what kind of pushes it to me. Is you had all those different pushes me up to large. Is you did have like the Russian ex-KGB agent that was kind of mysterious. You had the the jewel dealer that was pretending to be Jewish because it gave him a better image and let him do work in the underworld. You got the Londoners. You got Bricktop, and then you bring in the gypsies. You got 5 different characters all jammed into one deal.
Right. Yeah, and I think. Joe, you brought it up, which I really honestly didn't even think, but then when you brought it up, it makes total sense that just the similarity between this and an Ocean's 11, and I think, just me personally, my taste, I'm mop bucket with Ocean's 11 and more overflowing medium to large with this one.
Right.
For whatever reason, I kind of like that Ocean's 11, even though it had its funny moments, it seemed like it had a little more of a serious tone to it.
Yeah.
And less silliness than this one.
Right.
Because, Ocean's 11, that's in my probably top 10, if not, or maybe top 15
picks.
If I had to, do movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I really like that one.
That'll be interesting. I think at some point we got to sit down and say what our top 5 movies are.
Ooh,
man.
That'd be hard to do, but I think it'd be fun.
Your Mount Rushmore of picks.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. I think Forrest Gump's up there for me. I love that.
Yeah.
Movie. That's a top 5 for me.
I think it would be easier if you drill it down by genre, because top 5 all time is really hard to do, but I think top 5 by genre would be a little easier to narrow down.
Good Will Hunting. That's another one for me.
Oh my.
We'll see it someday.
Why the heck are you picking these crazy movies instead of Good Will Hunting?
Oh,
That's
I've
what
seen
I
that
want.
one way too many times, so I can't. I'm gonna spoil it if I watch it
Oh, jeez.
for the 20th time, I think.
I like Good Will Hunting. How about them apples?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for a while. Joe, you've never
It
seen it,
holds
right?
I've never seen it.
Joe, see, Joe's killing me. Joe doesn't watch these good
Well,
movies.
see, and I'm
He
a
watches
huge-
the 11th installment of Fast and Furious.
No, I've not seen the 11th installment yet. That is one of the few Robin Williams movies that I've not seen.
Have you seen Patch Adams?
No.
What Robin Williams? You're watching Miss Doubtfire, aren't you?
And 1 Hour Photo.
That's a good one, too.
1 Hour Photo. Yeah, 1 Hour Photo is kind of like a hidden Robin Williams.
Yes, and that's what I loved about it, because it is completely different than anything else he'd ever done.
Well, and there's another one. Is the 1 Hour Photo where the guy goes to Alaska and he doesn't sleep? Al Pacino as a policeman.
No, that's not it.
So he's in another one.
Okay.
That's kind of like a crime thriller.
The 1 Hour Photo is where he works
Yeah, in the photo
lab.
hut. Yeah.
and starts stalking his family.
Yeah. So there's another one where I think it's Robin Williams. I'm pretty sure it is, where he's the bad guy. Let me look and see here real quick. Well, Joe, do you have your pick?
Yes, I do.
You want to talk about it, or is that going to be a surprise?
Oh, no, let's go ahead and talk about it, because I was anxious to see if we was going to bring it up in conversation, and we have in great detail, so I think you guys are going to be fully on board for this next pick.
All right.
Ocean's 11.
Oh, going with
Yes.
the easy one.
Well, when I was watching it, I was like, this reminds me so much of Ocean's 11. I want to sit and watch Ocean's 11. So let's go ahead and just keep this ball rolling to a crime movie that I can follow.
Oh boy, Joseph, taking the safety pick. You know why, Justin? And I know you'll agree with me on this one. His last couple bombed.
No, wait.
And he's trying to ensure that he doesn't have another Howard the Duck, so he goes with something safe.
Now hold on, let me pull back up and see what my last picks were to see if they really bombed that
Jeez.
bad.
And so the Robin Williams movie I was talking about, Insomnia.
Insomnia. Okay.
Yeah, he plays a killer in Alaska, and it's craziness.
Yeah, 1 Hour Photo is always been one of my favorite.
He also did The World According to Garp, which is an old one, 1982. Yeah, craziness.
Now, Smokey and the Bandit wasn't that bad.
If you say so. You guys ever seen The Fisher King? It's pretty good too.
No, I have not seen that. And the Blues Brothers wasn't bad either.
Yeah, I agree with that. Wasn't terrible.
I see. You're sitting over there like, oh, I saw a great documentary the other night, and it's making it on the list, but I don't know when. Talking about picks. It's a documentary called The Last Blockbuster, and it's about the last Blockbuster store in the world.
I've heard of this.
It is very entertaining. I was highly entertained.
Now, Dave, you got to give Joe credit for Grandma and Ginga, though.
Yeah, do I not get a little... I mean, yeah, that wasn't
You
my
know,
pick.
and honestly, before you were like, hey, let's watch this documentary about these two older ladies,
From
I was kind of like,
Clarksburg.
yeah, from Clarksburg. And the only reason I agreed to it is because it was West Virginia based.
Right.
Otherwise, I was like, I have zero interest in this. But
Well,
it ended up being pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that was the selling point for me. Is like once I found out, when I started seeing their videos, when I found out they was from West Virginia, I was like, okay, I'm a bigger fan now, knowing that they're from West Virginia. It's kind of West Virginia pride kind of deal. So that I knew that'd be the selling point for you guys. Like, guys, trust me on this.
Yeah, that's what gave me the okay, yeah, I'll sit down and take a half hour and watch it just because of that. But man, I'm so glad I did.
Yes.
Have you guys seen Dead Poets Society?
Yep.
Part of it, and I was severely disappointed.
Oh, geez,
We've had this
Joe.
discussion, Dave, because when we was in high school, I was sold a bag of goods that I was led to water and found out it was prune juice, and I was mad.
Joe.
I was told that the movie was like Mrs. Doubtfire. They said if you love Mrs. Doubtfire, you'll love Dead Poets Society.
Have you seen What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams?
No.
It's a freaky one.
So,
but
Joe,
it's interesting.
we're watching the 1960 version of Ocean's 11, right?
No.
Oh, boy.
It doesn't have very good ratings.
No, I've not seen that one, so I wouldn't do that to you guys. No, this is going to be the 2001 with George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Julia Roberts, Bernie Mac.
Ah, yeah.
All right.
Go to a fail-safe movie that has all A-list actors and actresses. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, heaven forbid we try to get Joe a little credibility.
I know, Joe's you got to come out of that burnt popcorn somehow, I guess.
This is a PR campaign to get his.
I know. He's like, I got to get my ratings up.
Okay, also, you're dumping on Peanut Butter Falcon?
You had one. And I'm pretty sure I led you to that one.
No, that was one I had seen before.
I know. I'm pretty sure I told you to watch it.
No.
Because Zach and I were talking in the office about it, and you were there, and you're like, oh, Peanut Butter Falcon? And we were like, yeah.
No, I watched it because I've seen it online. It had Jake the Snake Roberts on it. That's what sold it on me.
Ah, okay.
Which there's another. I'm big into documentaries.
Oh, geez.
There's another documentary.
If we're going to do documentaries, let's do some health documentaries.
Okay. I've got a good health documentary for you.
Okay.
You remember Morgan Spurlock, Super Size Me?
Oh, yeah.
He did a sequel.
I saw it.
Did you see it?
I did.
What'd you think? Now, we don't need to go in full detail, but just high level.
People are sheep.
Yes.
It's unreal.
Very interesting.
Unreal. There's so many parts of that I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Because I know...
You got to be kidding me. And I'll say one of the parts, Joe, and I'll see if you recognize this as well. When he has his restaurant open and he tells people this is the truth and it really isn't that healthy for you, and people are like, yeah, I don't care. I like it anyway. I'd eat here every day.
Yeah.
And he just was like blown away that he told him the truth about that aspect of it, and they didn't care.
Yeah.
And I think that was his aha moment of, we just don't care.
Yeah. It's like we know that
Yeah,
it's not
we
good
know.
for us.
And the guy that's in charge of it all tells you it's not good for you, and you still are just like, I don't care. I'd eat here every day.
Have you seen that one, Justin?
Nope.
Have you seen the original Super Size Me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
This one's better, I thought, right?
a little different.
It's different, but I mean, I
Yeah.
thought it was better. The other one,
don't
I
know
felt
if I'd
like he
say-
was pushing a little bit.
Well, he had a lot to prove.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I just felt like he was pushing in the first one really hard. He was like desperate to make sure that it worked.
Yeah.
Where in this one, he was just like, let's, and the people didn't care.
Right.
I was just like, ooh. Anyway.
The sequel's based on it's Super Size Me 2 Holy Chicken.
Yeah.
And it's about how the chicken industry runs and how marketing is, when you go to a restaurant, you don't order the fried chicken sandwich because that's not healthy. You order the crispy chicken sandwich because that sounds much healthier. And
yeah,
it's like,
and you make fake grill marks on it because it looks more appeasing.
Home style. It's like,
yes.
It's crazy. Yeah, and just the whole premises of it. And I'll tell you this. Have either of you had chicken here lately?
Yes. Oh, I know where this is going.
So I'll throw out two studies. One was last February, where they studied chicken all across America, from Kroger's, Walmart, mom and pop restaurants to KFC to Popeyes. 99.9% of all chicken they tested after it was cooked still had E. coli and feces in it.
I know.
Now, this was prior to...
I'm helping build my immunity.
Oh, you're definitely building your immunity, by golly. This was prior to the government's administration turning loose because the chicken industry, because it was the law said you could only run at 75% capacity and speed.
Yeah.
It got changed a year ago to where now it can run at 100% processing speed. Now you think about all the bacteria and bad stuff that's in chicken and injuries in factories.
Yeah.
At 75%, now let's go ahead and add a quarter more speed to it.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Joe?
Well, when you said the injuries, that immediately takes me to Down Periscope with Buckman and the Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, this is craziness.
You've seen Down Periscope, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Buckman, there was a Band-Aid in my...
Yeah.
Yesterday was a fingernail. Well, the Band-Aid was holding a fingernail.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, and that's I was just like, my gosh. So anyway, yeah, good luck with your chicken eating.
Yes. Yeah, so now that you knocked us down with a little side of depression here, I got us all on a high note of watching Ocean's 11, and then you had to give it a shot of reality.
Ocean's 11, come
Thanks,
on,
Dave.
man, come on. Padding your numbers.
I got to.
No, you don't. But it is. I like Ocean's 11.
Well, see, at least you're giving me grief about a good movie and not like just.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah,
I keep waiting for you to step out on the cusp a little bit and throw out like a Clockwork Orange or something like that.
Well, see, a lot of those movies aren't. Okay, so those kind of movies are kind of out of my forte.
I know. That's why you're like Justin did The General.
And how well did that go over?
Yeah, but I mean, I would have never known about it or seen it if he hadn't have brought it up in this arena. So that's kind of how I view our been there watch that deal is.
Well, I tried that. I tried that, and I got threatened to be booted off the show permanently.
That's because you brought out Howard the Duck.
Again.
Oh my gosh.
It was way out there. Not something you normally see. Yeah, Joe tries to get creative and gets thrown off the show. Justin
now you're hurting back to Ocean's 11 to kind of counterbalance out that pick.
Justin gets creative and most of the time knocks it out of the park, but yet throws one stinker in The General, and it's like, it's okay, Justin.
I should have screened The General beforehand.
The General was painful. That was painful.
Yeah, but Justin...
But there's a little historical culture there.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Justin, I'm tempted to try Justin's formula because I've seen it work out so well.
Right. You've seen it work out bad too, though.
Yeah. but you knock more out of the park than you have stinkers, so it's like it works for you. So I'm going. I want to try that.
Yeah.
But
all I'm saying is I'm hitting home runs left and right, boys.
So Joe's blood pressure's going up.
You see the vein pulsing on my forehead.
It's a podcast, of course not.
Yeah. We'll just start getting
take your word for it. It is, yeah. All right, so we're going to come back next week with Ocean's 11.
And then the next week after that will be our next online submissions. So
yeah. Okay.
See.
Awesome. Anybody out there who's never seen Ocean's 11, I think definitely watch it. Worth a watch.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Sure. So,
yes, definitely.
Even if we're kind of talking up as a crime type thing, but it's for everybody. I think anybody can enjoy that movie.
That's why I say it's one of those picks that's just good across the board. Feel good movie, clever movie, funny movie.
There's nobody getting shot left or right. It's
like
that.
Not violent. Good for the family, I think.
And the whole series, all three movies, because there's some movies. Well, a lot of movies that once they start doing the sequels, it just gets watered down.
Yeah, the sequels are horrible usually. But this one's good. They've gotten better almost.
Yeah, all three. Now I have not seen the spinoff where they did just women. It was like
Ocean's
pretty
good.
8 or Ocean's 9.
It was pretty good. It wasn't like the quality of the rest as far as the story, but the actresses did a really good job and the twists and turns were there, but it just wasn't.
I never saw that one either.
It wasn't as good as the others.
Well, that was I was afraid of because the first three did so well. I was afraid to watch it because I was afraid it was going to just stain the whole series because it was one of those the two sequels worked. Now let's completely spin it on its top, and that's where I get a little going.
Yeah, I think the problem with the lady one, they had good actresses. They just didn't develop the story as well as they did in all the others.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the story depth in Ocean's 11, 12, and 13 was really good. And for, was it called 14?
No, it's like Ocean's 8.
Ocean's 8, yeah. So Ocean's 8, they didn't develop the plot enough. You know, it had twists, it had turns, it had some clever stuff here and there. It had personal vendettas that came into play, but it just didn't have the thick plot like the other ones did.
Right. Well, see, and that's where I get a little hesitant when they start getting really outreach. Like when they redid the Ghostbusters with Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
Love her work.
Yeah, such a spoof though.
Yeah, I mean the movie wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
But if you've seen the first one, you're gonna crap all over the remake. But if you had never seen the original, you'd go, okay, that's a pretty good movie.
I saw the original and I saw that one, and the remake needs crapped on.
Yeah. It's one of those, if you hadn't seen the original, you'd go, okay, that's a pretty good movie. But if you've seen the original, it's like, why?
Yeah, why mess it up like that? Yeah, that's why.
Have you seen the remake, Justin? Have you seen the original?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Who you gonna call? Anyway. All right, well, that gets our hour in for this podcast this week. I've been there and watched that. So, Joe, carry us on out of here, man.
All right, so for all the news and reviews and information, go to visit our website at beentherewatchthat.com. Follow us on social media at BTWT We're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And like I said, we already have a list started of online submissions, but we would love to have more. So send us a tweet or a Facebook message or on our website. Say, hey, if you guys like this movie, check out this one. Or if you guys really hated that one, I'm going to throw you this one just to make you...
Yeah, I'm going to add fuel to the fire.
Yeah. So send us all that. Leave us a 5-star review. All of our podcasts are on all major platforms. Just look for Been There, Watch That, hosted by Anchor.fm.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're moving on. Next week, Ocean's 11. Joe's safety pick.
That's right.
But no, all good movies, so it's interesting to see such a wide gamut of movies we've been reviewing. So get out there and join us, Been There, Watch That. Be sure to participate in. We love having fan interaction, and we'll be back next week for more. So for myself, Joe, and Justin, everybody have a great week, and we'll be back with Ocean's 11.